For an opening statement, please, sir.
Thank you. I think that what Americans may be asking now is, who needs Al-Qaeda when you have E. coli? Who needs Al-Qaeda when you've got melamine? And the reason I say that is, if Osama bin Laden was responsible for the E. coli poisonings of the Americans that's taking place, and the melamine and the other contaminants that have come from foreign manufacturers, this country would act. We would actually do something. We wouldn't close half of our FDA offices in response to that threat. We wouldn't continue to allow the federal agencies to have no meaningful requirements for policies and practices for our leafy and green vegetables that lead to repeated E. coli poisonings. We would actually act. And I just think, in light of the information that's now apparent of the sieve that we have for food protection of Americans, that we've got to take some action. If we invested 1/10 of the amount of time, money, and effort that we do on the war on terrorism, on these food safety poisonings, we would reduce probably by a factor of 10 the poisonings of Americans, which are in the tens of thousands every year. So I would suggest during this hearing that if we think of this threat in these terms, and we will respond accordingly. I'll be asking questions about why it makes sense to divide the compliance function in FDA, to chop up the compliance responsibility between offices, which makes no sense to me. Why it makes sense in the first place to do this consolidation, I haven't seen evidence to support that. And why it makes sense to continue this path of having no practices to require certain clean policies when you handle vegetable material in the United States. We have adopted and we've seen where a risk-based management program can be effective in reducing poisoning in our meat-borne toxins. We have not done that for our green foods. We've got to do that. I know that this committee will be acting shortly to do that, and I look forward to success. But I hope in this, we're invested with the theory during this hearing that we're going to act with the same degree of diligence, we will, as we do in the war on terrorism. Having a war on E. coli is such not a bad idea when you talk to the millions of, or at least the tens of thousands of Americans who've been affected by food poisoning in the last several years. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Inslee.